Welcome back to Cynthia Untamed. My name is Cynthia Nyongesa. Cynthia Untamed is about having conversations with and about young people in Africa. My last video was focusing on the hashtag mental health KE. Today we are talking about the most recent conversations, very heated and very real, which is racism and colorism. So very recently, as this conversation became more and more heated online, I sat down and I started thinking about the moment the former president Barack Obama became the president of the United States of America. At the time, I think I must have been 11 or 12 or 13 years old. And I remember we were all called into the entertainment room and we had to watch his inauguration night. That is the first time I ever heard of someone called Barack Obama. And to me, at that point, people were saying he's a Kenyan. So for me, it was a big deal. He was president, he's a Kenyan. So Cynthia is going to be the next president of Kenya or the world or whatever. But now, as I grew older, is when I began to understand the significance of President Obama becoming president, him as the first black president of the United States of America. And of course, this dates to way, way back from slavery. I know it's even way, way back. And we see issues of racism, and racism is mostly about people feeling superior to other human beings, especially because of their skin color. Now, you know, there are many different races in the world, and some people are of mixed races. We as human beings, and we as Africans especially, need to start understanding the value of our worth. Now, I know there are many things that then diminish our access to opportunities, but I think I look back to growing up and the comments I used to get from society. And this topic of racism is closely linked to colorism. Now, as you can see, my skin is of light complexion. I am a black woman, but I have lighter complexion compared to many other women in Africa. Now, when I was growing up, there was a standard of beauty that a beautiful woman is short, petite, small, with very long hair and light-skinned. Now, having light skin, I used to get comments from outside the community, outside my home, that I am beautiful because of the color of my skin. But at the same time, I was also getting comments that I am not beautiful enough because I didn't have long hair. I had short hair. Now, what I see in terms of racism and colorism is that the lighter you are, the more beautiful or superior you are considered. And this is something I see really being told to children, and especially girls growing up. And I think it's deeply rooted in the feeling of inferiority within ourselves as Africans. Let me also give another example. So one time a friend was narrating about an experience she had looking for a job on television. And when she got to the auditions, she was clearly told, you're not going to make it because you're too dark. And I see people being told all the time, oh, you're too dark for the screen. All those things. And to be honest, I'm not going to stand here and say that I am speaking from the perspective of a woman who is darker skinned, especially knowing that the outside world would view me as being more advantaged because of the color of my skin. Now, that's the color of your skin. Then there's another conversation, especially around women, and that's hair. The texture of our hair. There's from type 1 to type 4. Now, mine is, of course, obviously 4C. Right now, it's braided in cornrows, but mine is 4C hair. And I see women being told that your hair is not good enough because it's too kinky, it's too woolly. And I get some of those comments at times whenever I undo my hair and I wash it and I just decide to walk like that. People start looking at you as if you are mad. And I think these are conversations that we really need to have, and especially to girls growing up. We need to tell them that their hair is okay. And let's also not forget about our industries, because we also see in the hair industries that we don't have enough products to take care of our own hair. For example, our hair quickly dries. For some reason, you go for a blow dry and then it's already dry, or you wash it and then it sticks. I don't know, it just kind of become woolly. Like, it's such a complicated process. And those are the things that we go through. So imagine for women in Africa, then they grow up, or they continue to live even in their adulthood thinking that they are not good enough because their hair is too hard or their skin is not too light. And I know this is a very wide topic, but I think this is also why racism and colorism continues to thrive. So I think we as Africans need to start standing up for ourselves. We need to start saying that we are good enough. You're not going to miss a job just because you're black. I see women who are very successful and they're black still saying that they don't get opportunities because they are black. Imagine if you continue living in such a society. I was born and I found this conversation going on. Imagine as I continue to grow into my adulthood, my children will come and find this kind of society going on. I think this cannot go on. We cannot be talking about the experiences of our forefathers up to now. We cannot continue living those experiences. And this is so difficult, but I think we need to find a way to change the systems, starting from right here, because people keep saying that even racism occurs right here at home, right here on our African soil. So can we all stand up for ourselves and start speaking against all these injustices? So need to be honest with ourselves. You see, I've just told you the experience of how growing up I was told I'm more beautiful because of the color of my skin. But now imagine a girl who is dark skinned. We're not even imagining, this is a real life situation. A dark skinned girl knows she's beautiful, and then at some point she's told she's not beautiful enough. So what does she do? In Nairobi, downtown Nairobi, there's a road called River Road. On River Road, there are women who stand there constantly calling upon women and girls like me to go and lighten their skin using very dangerous products. So a girl who has dark skin will go into the street, into River Road, buy those products, change the color of her skin. She might use injections or creams or tablets, whatever those things are. Then she'll get lighter. And then what are we going to do as a society? We're going to start judging her for trying to change the color of her skin. Yet when she's dark, we tell her she's not good enough. Are we really being honest as human beings? Are we really being honest? Why do we set these standards of beauty that you're only beautiful if you meet this standard? Why do we do that? And then we go and sit and pretend that everybody is beautiful as long as they have a clean heart. I think let's start asking ourselves where these issues actually came from. Conversations about racism and colorism are very deep. They're very complex. So, for example, for me, when I was growing up, I didn't know what racism was. And you can see when children are very young, they love each other. They don't even see the color of the skin. So whatever happens when they grow up, it is our society. Our society is broken. The first time I experienced racism, or I rather heard of it, was when I traveled to South Africa. And I heard people saying that you cannot go to certain streets if you're of a certain color, either if you're white or if you're black, depending on the neighborhood or the street you're in, it's going to get dangerous. And then now at one point where I actually now felt it was I was in Europe, and I was walking around touring the city and all that, and an old man on a wheelchair was passing just very close to me, and all of a sudden he just came right at me and he said very harsh things. I don't know what he said because he said it in German, but it was very, very harsh. And from that moment, I realized it must be because of the color of my skin. I was aware that it was because of the color of my skin. I did not have to understand what he said. And touring the city, I was working with a Chinese friend. So the Chinese friend understood what the old man had said. And I told her, don't interpret what he has said, because I know whatever he has said must be wrong. But of course, my Chinese friend went ahead to still interpret, and she said that he says that the reason why there are many problems in this side of the world is because of people of the color of your skin. So I really felt it from there on. And this is when now it hit me now properly that racism is a real thing. People continue to face this all the time. It has been there for a long time and will probably continue to be there for a long time unless we change the systems, unless we start speaking openly about these conversations and start asking ourselves right here from home why the color of someone's skin is such a big deal, and especially when that person is a woman. Why is it like that? Why? We need to understand these things. And I think as parents, I am not yet a parent, but I think as parents also, let's be careful about the conversations we have with our children. Do we tell them that someone who looks like this is better than us? Do we tell our children that because we look like this, then we are better than them? Do we tell our children that because we come from this community, we are better than everybody else? What conversations are we having with our children? Because it is the things that happen in our society that then translate to online conversations like this about racism, about colorism, about missing opportunities because of the color of your skin or because of where you come from. Now, the truth of the matter is we will all be different. We're never going to look the same. Even here in Africa, people don't look the same. And even here in Africa, people may not be aware of these things. There are people who are not aware, and I think it's also our responsibility to educate these people because they may not be as exposed as we are. Because recently, again, I was having a conversation with someone, and the person was saying that they thought that it's only in Africa where we have black people, and you can see that some people don't know that black people live outside of this continent. There are people who are not aware. So let's also take responsibility and educate these people because they are probably not as exposed as we are. So let's also be kind to people, but have real conversations about racism and colorism. Remember that we are all human at the end of the day, and every human being has rights, has freedoms, and has responsibilities towards their communities, towards their countries, towards their societies, towards their families, towards their friends. We all have a responsibility to ensure that all of us are protected. My name is Cynthia Nyongesa, and I am proud to be an African from Kenya. Thank you for watching this episode of Cynthia Untamed. I will be back with another conversation that affects young people and children in Africa. Until next time, see you then, and make sure you check out my digital platform that amplifies the stories of change makers, advocates, influencers, and mobilizers in their communities. Make sure you don't miss that, and tell a friend to tell a friend.